The Lord, how you guys doing today? I hope you're doing great. Now today is day 189 of 366 beautiful days. We just finished our series why the devil is against assemblies, but I want to address a few things that I kept thinking about, because I remember I talked about being able, or at least trying your best to always attend church, but also I said that you should join a small group or a discipleship group or a discipleship space. But I forgot one thing. I forgot something called isolation. Avoid being isolated, because when you're isolated, that's the devil's breeding ground. Because when you're alone, that's what the devil likes. Now I'm going to talk about isolation, but I'm going to give the difference between a snake and a sheep, because the Bible says that we are a sheep of his pasture, God's pasture. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. God makes us to do things. So a sheep, I've said earlier before, a sheep is meant to be led. A sheep is meant to have a shepherd. Sheep can't fight much, you see. People say that sheep headbutts and all, but when a lion comes, it can do nothing. Like, its claws can't even scratch. It can do nothing, right? All they can do is like maybe go around and try to defend the little lambs, but they can do nothing, right? Because that's what sheep are. Now, the difference between a sheep and a snake is that a snake is independent, right? A snake feeds itself. A snake is alone by itself. In fact, I was watching Nat Geo the other day, and there was this snake that was moving around, but it entered the territory of another snake. Like, they couldn't exist together. They can't coexist, right? They had to fight, and the one who won the battle left, and looked for other grounds where they are kings. So every time you find yourself wanting to be alone, you are exuding snake-like tendencies, right? And we all know what the snake symbolizes. Okay, a snake symbolizes independence. A snake symbolizes the serpent. A snake symbolizes loneliness, because snakes are really lonely. They are very lonely creatures. First, leave the ones we have in the zoo that are tame. Like the ones in the zoo, they feed them. If you find a snake, that is why a snake is meant to be killed. Every time you find a snake somewhere, it's meant to be killed. Whenever you find people running away, they can say, "Oh, this is a cute snake." First, leave those things you see on TV. A snake is dangerous. It's poisonous, right? So when a snake bites you, if you're not rushed to the hospital, you will die. So it's important for you to always be among people. Be a sheep, because the Bible calls us the sheep of his pasture, and it comes with so much love. After reading that book, The Father's Heart, I understood what it actually means by being a sheep of his pasture. So when the Bible says you should be a sheep, do not be alone by yourself. Be among other sheep. Be among like-minded people that will help you grow even better. Because a snake, first of all, a snake is for starters, a snake is a wild animal. There is no snake that is domestic. It's a wild animal. But sheep are domestic animals. Like, you can never find a sheep by itself. They're always 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, and sometimes they're like 15, right? But a snake, when you find 10 snakes, that day you're going to die. You won't survive. You will die, because they are designed to kill. First, leave the ones we see on TV. The ones that are in the forest, like every time they see something, they want to attack, because that's their nature, right? So every time you find yourself being alone, not wanting to be with people, not wanting to mingle with people, like, you're exuding snake-like tendencies, and that is the serpent of old. Eve was lied to because she was alone. The devil likes it when you're alone. Like, there's nothing the devil likes. There's nothing a lion likes than an animal that is away from the pack. That's easy peasy. It just gets it and eats it very fast. But when there are many, you'll see it keeps going around, waiting for one to just go off like 2 or 3 meters away, right? So always avoid isolation. Always avoid isolation. Every time you're seeing yourself being isolated, you will start developing things in your mind. You start having snake-like ideas of, like, you feel like you are all. You start becoming, you feel very independent. Like, you lose that space of even being taught and being a sheep that needs a shepherd to lead them. So avoid isolation and find yourself in a space where people are allowed to be taught. I don't think a snake can be taught, But what's interesting is everything has its master. When an eagle sees a snake is no match for an eagle. When an eagle sees a snake, it just picks it, tears it, and eats it while it's still flying, before it even gets to the tree, right? So everything has master. So as big as you think you are, there's something that's above you. Always, there's something that's above you. But a sheep, the advantage of the sheep is that it's always protected by the shepherd. I think that's the place for you to be. Have a beautiful day. God bless you. Bye-bye.